Streaming on clickorlando.com. You're watching News 6 at 10.
Tonight on News 6, a smell in Sanford has the community asking questions. An investigation into hundreds of dead fish found at a construction site.
Plus, we're learning more into what caused more than a dozen swans to die at Lake Eola, what you need to know to stay alert.
You don't have any faith in Delcy Rodriguez?
No. Uncertainty for Venezuela being felt in Central Florida as their ousted president faces federal charges here in the U.S.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Austin.
I'm Ginger Gadsden. We begin tonight in Sanford, the site of hundreds of dead fish. A concerned community member contacted News 6 after she noticed a massive fish kill at a construction site in Seminole County.
Your community correspondent Troy Campbell stopped by the pond to investigate. Troy.
Right now we're standing next to the pond and there is a very strong odor coming from it. If you take a look behind me, you can see the water pump. The county says it's draining to the stormwater system and then to the St. Johns River. However, what it's left behind is hundreds of dead fish and even some turtles.
Oh, smell like death. It smells like it's horrible.
Julia Nicolina says she drove past this pond near the corner of Florida 46 and Harvest Time Drive in Seminole County on New Year's Day when she noticed vultures surrounding the area.
And then I was like curious what's going on here. I pull off the road and smell was overbearing.
She says what she witnessed was hundreds of dead fish in the pond.
Like I said, it was sad and I was shocked that that happened right in middle of everything. And nobody tried to stop it or do something about it. That was shocking to me.
Sergio Wilcox lives nearby and says he's concerned about the smell of decaying fish.
I guess we just got to bear through it. That's all we have to do. So hopefully the smell is not too strong. That won't keep us awake at night. You know?
We emailed Seminole County, who in return sent us this approved permit for the construction project, which includes draining the pond. In it, a study says the pond has low ecological quality. The county also says the developers had approval from the St. Johns River Management District.
I'm really sad to hear that's, as animals, that's like life, just passing on. That's scary.
Additionally, Seminole County says the hundreds of fish likely died from a low water level and the cold weather last week. According to the permit, the plan is to construct an auto collision center. Nicolina says despite the construction project's approval, she and others in the area stand firmly against draining the pond.
There used to be so much vegetation. My bunch of ducks used to come and go, and all different birds and trees, and one day vegetation was gone.
I also called the applicant and left a voicemail, but have not heard back. The county also says that the developer does plan to construct another pond elsewhere on the property. In Seminole County, I'm your community correspondent, Troy Campbell, News 6.
All eyes are on what's next for Venezuela after the capture and arraignment of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. The couple staying in a New York City jail until March. Both pleaded not guilty to federal drug trafficking charges. Maduro was indicted over the weekend on charges stemming from what prosecutors say was his role in a scheme to import, quote, thousands of tons of cocaine into the United States. Maduro faces 4 charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and 2 gun charges. Celia Flores, Maduro's wife, is accused of bribery to facilitate meetings between Venezuelan leadership and a large-scale drug trafficker. Now, the couple will stay in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn until their next court date, which is set right now for March 17th. In court today, Maduro says he is, quote, innocent, a decent man, and still the president of his country. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was sworn in as acting president today.
With a large Venezuelan community here in Florida, there were a lot of people who were paying attention Monday as ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife pleaded not guilty to federal drugs and gun charges. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, your Orlando community correspondent, and around the same time that was happening in New York, we were paying visits to Venezuelan-owned restaurants. And we met a couple people who actually lived under Maduro's regime. They said they're relieved that he's now gone, but they acknowledged that there's a lot of uncertainty left in his wake.
It was like a party.
Inside Nando Grill over the weekend, dinner service felt more like a party.
With good. Yeah. And that's our specialty here.
With Venezuelan staples selling fast. Is this the type of food you grew up with when you were a kid?
Of course, yes, especially on vacations.
Elio Medina is the manager here.
Born and raised in Venezuela, and I've been here in the U.S. for 4 years.
But his family is still in Venezuela.
Are they excited that Maduro is no longer
Of course
there?
they are. Everything got worse when he took the power.
Over at De Silva Steakhouse, a projector displayed the words, Que viva Venezuela libre.
Free Venezuela. Es como una panqueca, pero de maíz.
24-year-old Abdonis Arenze is here from Venezuela under an asylum claim.
Saw people eating from garbage cans. All the police are crooked. They stop you for anything.
Both Arenze and Medina see Maduro's ouster as progress on the path to democracy. What that journey looks like, though, is far from clear.
At this point, we do need help from outside. Either it's investors, the U.S., or I don't know.
What they do know is they do not want Delcy Rodriguez in charge, Maduro's vice president and now the acting leader.
You don't have any faith in Delcy Rodriguez?
No.
Why is that?
She's part of them.
I think it's going to be more of the same. I don't want her to be there. I want something new, someone like cares about the Venezuelan people.
And you're comfortable with the United States having a presence in Venezuela for now?
100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we've tried for so many years, and we haven't made it happen. We don't mind taking outside help.
What would you say to critics who saw last weekend's events as an illegal military intervention?
Might have been illegal, but they're not Venezuelan.
So as you heard both of those men explain, they don't support Delcy Rodriguez. They would prefer to see someone in power like opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. But over the weekend, President Donald Trump appeared to dismiss the chance of Machado rising to power. Arenze told me he thinks those words by Trump were a mistake. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
To Volusia County now, where a mom will spend the next 32 years in prison for the murder of her own son. Talia Nelson was convicted of neglecting, physically abusing, and ultimately murdering her 14-year-old son on January 1st of 2024. The victim was severely malnourished and dehydrated, weighing only 33 pounds. He also had fresh bruises on his face, scars across his torso and back and legs. Nelson told investigators her son suffered from multiple illnesses that caused the issues.
Tonight, new details from Orlando city officials who say more than the dozen swans that died at Lake Eola tested positive for bird flu.
Your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manohalal was at the park tonight, where we've learned the number of swans that died has gone up.
Yeah, the city confirming that all of the dead birds that have been reported did in fact have the bird flu, and this is what they feared the most. Now, since December 17th, there have been 21 bird deaths, 19 of those being these royal mute swans. These are the iconic swans that you see here at Lake Eola. You've got the real life swans right there in the water, paddle boats for those swans that represent them, and even some leftover holiday decorations. This comes after initial reports at the end of December detailed it was 11 birds total, 9 swans, 1 anhinga, and 1 ibis. The FWC since then working to perform necropsies, better known as animal autopsies, to confirm that bird flu is the cause of death. Now, according to the CDC, bird flu from bird to human is rare, but it could still happen. In order to make sure you don't catch bird flu, you're recommended to follow some of these guidelines that the city has put out on this avian flu alert. Just try and avoid any contact with the bird and observe them from a distance. Don't feed the birds, and if you get any bird poop on your shoes, make sure you're just wiping that off when you get home. This isn't the first time Orlando has had an outbreak of bird flu. Back in February 2024, 15 swans had died. That number now up to 19 in just a few short weeks. But as of Monday night, there were still plenty of birds in and out of the water, which begs the question, what is the city doing to protect the remaining birds? And how do we guarantee that those birds don't have the bird flu either? Right now, we're asking the city what their plans are in order to keep these birds, including the swans, safe from the bird flu. In Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manohalal, News 6.
Florida closed out 2025 with a jump in manatee deaths once again. FWC tells us they recovered 628 dead manatees in Florida last year. It's the most since nearly 800 died in 2022. Most of the deaths More than 1 in 5 died within a year of birth, although there were about a dozen fewer than last year's record amount. FWC also noted nearly 100 were killed by boats, the most since 2021. Brevard County led the state in manatee deaths with 118, including 50 babies. 38 manatees died in Volusia County as well. Over the past few years, sports betting has been exponentially growing.
Yeah, from apps on your phones to casinos. Coming up, we take a look at one sports betting company tapping into a multi-million-dollar market right here in Florida. Jonathan.
And we have some fog settling in as we speak. I think it's going to be pretty thick again tomorrow. We're going to talk about where it's coming in and where it's heading out, and a big warm-up for the end of your work week coming up in a few minutes.
And a major new development for vaccinations, the sweeping new changes just announced by officials and what you need to know.
You're watching News 6 at 10. We are live on a Monday night covering Mineola, Winter Springs, and all of Central Florida.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Central Florida Honda Dealers.
Well, since December of 2023, Floridians have had only one way to place wagers on sports through the Hard Rock Bet app.
But does Hard Rock now have some new competition? As News 6's Donovan Myrie explains, the answer is complicated.
Hard Rock Bet versus DraftKings Prediction. The battle for your money is on in the state of Florida. Hard Rock Bet remains, as the platform's website says, the only legal online sports betting option in Florida, known as a sportsbook, as per the gaming compact the governor signed with the Seminole Tribe in 2021. This new competition comes in the form of what is known as prediction markets, a platform that looks similar to sportsbooks, but is regulated by the federal government and essentially functions differently. First, some background. DraftKings is a major player in the sports betting scene, holding about 34% of the space. On January 1st, DraftKings announced their new predictions platform had rolled out Sports Selections, about 2 weeks after the DraftKings Predictions app went live in 38 states, including Florida. Let's compare DraftKings Predictions against the Hard Rock Bet app for the regular season finale between the Jaguars and the Titans, played on Sunday. The two apps look pretty similar, right? And that's the whole point. But how can DraftKings offer essentially the same wagers as Hard Rock Bet if DraftKings isn't allowed to operate in Florida per the state's gaming compact? Well, that's because prediction markets are regulated and function differently than sportsbooks. In the traditional sportsbook model, bettors put their money up against an entity like a casino. But in prediction markets, users purchase different sides of an event contract, kind of like a game of yes or no. And instead of going up against a casino, users go up against each other. Prices for each side of the contract move up and down based on supply and demand. If more people are thinking yes, getting a yes contract will cost you more. Platforms take commissions and transaction fees, essentially meaning the platform now gives a company like DraftKings a foothold for people in Florida looking to put money on a game. We asked Hard Rock Bet and the governor's office to see how predictions markets fall into the gaming compact. We have not yet heard back from the state, and Hard Rock declined to comment. Now, we know this is all very nuanced and complicated, and there are minute details that make the difference of millions of dollars. For a more in-depth breakdown of the predictions market's expansion in Florida, look for this article on the homepage of clickorlando.com. In the newsroom, I'm Donovan Myrie, News 6.
As a number of students get ready to head back to the classroom to finish out the school year, there are new rules surrounding what vaccines they need.
The Department of Health and Human Services made sweeping changes today, dropping a number of vaccine recommendations. The CDC will continue to organize the child immunization schedule into categories. The first category is recommended for all ages, which includes polio, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, HPV. Perhaps most notably, it recommends RSV, meningitis, and hepatitis only for kids at high risk. That's category 2. Officials say the policy brings the U.S. closer to how developed countries like Denmark handle vaccines.
But critics say Denmark is not a good comparison because people there have easy access to mostly free health care. They say the change, without public discussion or a transparent review of the data, will put kids at risk. The updated guideline lists COVID, flu, and hepatitis vaccines as optional based on clinical decision-making, category 3. All vaccine, no matter the level, are covered by insurance companies without cost sharing. And one more note. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services will also drop requirements for states to report vaccination data.
Time now to get a check at your detailed forecast from meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. Are we expecting another foggy morning tomorrow?
I think we are, guys. Yeah, clear skies, calm winds, perfect ingredients for that fog to come back in again. Looking at the fog tracking satellite, and we can already start to see that. We're looking for the yellow colors to start. And over the last couple of frames, we really see the darker brown color, the darker gray, and then the yellows begin to pop up in parts of Osceola into Lake County, also along the I-95 corridor tonight. That's exactly where we're going to watch fog begin to expand, and I think we're really going to watch it come in as we get to the overnight hours tomorrow, especially by the time that you wake up as we get into that 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour. It should be pretty thick across central Florida. Visibilities could be down near 0 across spots. So again, just like today, I'm expecting that fog to be widespread and pretty thick out there. Winds are on the calmer side. You see the bigger numbers here represents the actual sustained winds, the smaller number the gust, and where you see the 0, again, that is where we are calm. Every now and then we have a gust at 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, but that's about it. Again, on relatively calm nights and clear skies, that's when we have the perfect ingredients for that fog to develop. Nice and quiet out there right now. We have high pressure departing the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast out over the Atlantic. That has helped to shift our wind direction, albeit on the lighter side, to help pump in some of that warmth that we felt today after we got rid of that fog, but also as we went forward into the afternoon to help warm us back up into the low to mid 70s. Here's a live look outside downtown Orlando. With our light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam, we have air temperatures back to the mid-60s under that mainly clear sky. There's that light wind at the Orlando International Airport out of the east-southeast at about 3 miles an hour. Temperatures on the milder side. We've completely flipped the script from last week. We're at 62 in Sanford. Oviedo, good evening. We are at 60. Ocala, we're at 56. Palm Coast, we're checking in at 58. Now here's a look at your forecast. When you wake up tomorrow morning, we're not moving much from where we are right now. Again, it's going to be a fairly warm morning as temperatures are going to be running about 5 to 10 degrees above where they should be for this time of the year. That'll put us into the upper 50s to some near 60 degrees. Now, tomorrow, we have to get rid of the fog first. We are going to be dry. There may be some mist on your windshield tomorrow. That's going to be because you're driving through some of that thicker fog. That'll be about it in terms of the rain chances. Once that fog gets out of here, we're going to clear out nicely, and it's going to help to pump our temperatures back up to right around 80 degrees. And we're going to get even further, even warmer as we get towards the end of this work week. We're going to jump right into record territory. You see lower 80s across the board for most of Central Florida. That'll put us within a degree or two of setting new records on Friday. And it stays pretty warm to start your weekend as well. Lower 80s through Thursday, 83 on Friday, 83 on Saturday. We talked about that cold front. There's another one coming through Saturday into Sunday that'll take our high temperatures back down into the low 70s on Sunday, upper 60s on Monday, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, the new year comes with more work and more noise.
Yeah, and along the 417, construction there continues. Up next, Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver looks into how long this will last.
It's a noisy start to the new year for anyone living along the 417 in Winter Springs or Oviedo. I'm Catherine Silver, your Seminole County community correspondent. If you've driven through here, you've noticed all of this construction where work is underway to widen the 417. Neighbors nearby say it's already been noisy, and they're expecting it to get even louder as pile driving begins.
The noise is a very loud, booming sound that actually you feel some of the vibration.
Nydia Torres says it's not just the sound she and her neighbors in Seneca Bend are dealing with. Ongoing construction on the nearby 417 is shaking their homes.
Right into your living room, right into your backyard.
Rattling. Brief relief.
Then we get a little break.
Repeat.
It sounds like bombs that are hitting boom, boom, boom.
It's like a bang, 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 bang all day.
Rafael Sepulveda's home backs up right to the 417, where FDOT has been working to widen the highway from Aloma to north of 434. When it's done, there will be 8 lanes here instead of 4.
My big question is, did they consider maybe putting up a temporary barrier to help mitigate some of that noise?
This is Catherine Silver with News 6. We asked FDOT about the impact. We know they've posted notices for neighbors and tell us the pile driving will be done during the day through February 6th. The entire project has a much longer timeline through 2030, when 25,000 more people are expected to call Seminole County home.
We're not happy with it, but I guess they have to do this.
We have more cars, more traffic, obviously.
Neighbors like Torres say they're looking forward to the payoff when it's complete. But right now, it's just a pain.
I'm looking forward to the positives, yes, the widening of the highway that we obviously do need, and the quietness that we have in our neighborhood. To have it back would be very nice.
Construction has been underway for quite some time now. We've seen the equipment stage for the pile driving segment, but we haven't seen that actual work begin just yet. FDOT says when it does happen, they'll be working from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.